Hey friends, Ernie here, Trader of Futures. It is October 26th, Friday. Yes, as one person did say in the comments, I am chronically late. Well, I've been late maybe 3 or 4 times out of, I don't know, 50 or 60 times. So I don't know if you consider that chronic. So I'm not going to agree with you, but I am late. Got things going on, big things going on behind the scenes that unfortunately take precedence. So today was a big day today, as yesterday was a big day with the fever and the fear and the media and in social media speculation and accusing and all of that stuff brought about great political pressure on the markets and caused the market to go down. And this morning it was continuing, and it looked like we were going to get quite a sell-off. And then the announcement was that they had captured the sender of these, I don't want to call them mail bombs, I want to call them mail devices, because there is no proof that you could actually set one of these off. My understanding is that some of them may have contained flash powder, which is essentially similar to that substance that's on a sparkler. Also, these quote pipe bombs were plastic in nature, which means that they would have very little concussive power, even if they did have explosive in it. So typically you want like a pressurized or something that has resistance to it. Okay, Emmett, take care. Love you too. Bye. Son's leaving for back to school. So, there's a lot of this that that leaves one to wonder exactly what's going on. I'm not going to get into the political nature of it, but it's very interesting. This person's Twitter page or multiple Twitter pages and what they have, and also who they were following seems to have been wiped. That's kind of interesting too. Yeah, so there's just a lot of interesting things going on in the markets today. Now, the markets are pulling back from its rally it had earlier today. Not sure what that's all about. Maybe it's just people taking profits from the day. But we're very close to a breakout on the market too. So I thought really that that this little event would have pushed it over the top, but there's great resistance for the market right now. I keep on looking over here because I'm looking at it as it struggles. All very interesting. Let's see. Finally, Ernie suggesting to buy BTC. Welcome, Coach. Huh? Who said I suggested buying BTC? That is a vicious rumor that I can tell you is not true. Now, the biggest narrative that's going out there, or the most popular narrative, is that BTC, because it is in such a low volatility way, that it is destined to break out. I would say that it is destined to break either out or down, one or the other. I think that down has a greater potential to it than up. But either way, I do think it's going to break. Just don't know when. So the market seems to be coming under pressure now near the end, and that is really odd. We needed to go up. I think maybe, I don't know if it's found its bottom or not. Not really one into trying to find bottoms. There are no volumetric indicators saying that this is the bottom, so we really don't know. Got the dog here, Dougie, one of the doggies. He's a good boy. Yes, sirree. Yes. What are you doing? There's nothing there. How you doing? This is Obi.
Hi. Oh, yes. Thank you.
All right. All Eyes says, it's all a sham, Ernie. I'm surprised you, of all, haven't realized this. What? I haven't realized this? Especially the news media captured? What a joke. All inside jobs. I don't believe a thing that they spew out of the random ways. Always ulterior motives behind any breaking news. That is true. Philip Thomas thinks that Bitcoin's going down to 6,200, or is he asking? That I don't know. I really do agree this time, though, Ernie. I just don't see what would be the catalyst to go up and also sustain that uptrend. Still holding, but also holding cash and metals on the side. Yeah. Well, we're firmly ensconced in correction territory. I was going to say correction territory. And so the question is, have we seen a bottom? And that is a very, very difficult thing. And I'm sure that, the bombing wasn't necessarily the reason for the markets going down, although it catalyzed or gave an excuse for the markets to come down, and then the finding of the bomber for it to come back up, take some profits, etc. But now it seems to be moving back down again, which is very interesting. And don't really quite understand that. What has changed? Volatility moving around. It could be, the government continuing to try to put the pressure on this and try to get everybody to realize that, well, this is not a hoax. This is real. Self-aggrandizing a little bit. And I think there may also be another narrative out there is, whether or not this is the lone actor or not. And if there is another actor out there, do we still have to worry? Or there's still incendiary devices that are in the mail somewhere. I guess there's been 12 or 13 of them that have been discovered, and none of them have blown up. Although I think 2 of them were intentionally detonated because they appeared to be unstable, quote. So at least that's a report that I heard. This will all be forgotten very, very quickly. To me, it appears as if it was designed to affect the news cycle. Now, you would think, I mean, just thinking from a logical point of view, and looking at this fellow's van and all his Trump and nationalist paraphernalia and memes that he had plastered everywhere. By the way, very well professionally done from a graphics point of view. You would think that someone like that might have the sensibility that doing something like this could hurt the party that you're supposed to be supporting. And maybe wait until after the election. I don't know. I don't know how a confused mind might think. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Just does not make a lot of sense at all. Framed and used. Are you buying pot stocks? Not buying pot stocks yet. If we were to go back to the pot stocks. So one of the things that I said about pot stocks, I said it many times, was that leading up to the October 17th date, that we would rise into that, and that right after that we would fall sharply, and which we have. So I'd like to point this out. This is the ETF, the Alternative Harvest ETF, which comprises the 20 or 30 biggest stocks in the cannabis arena. or anything related to that. And so you can see right here, right on the 17th, actually the 18th is the day, because 17th I think was, I don't know, was 17th a Sunday or something? But anyways, it dropped dramatically after, well, it would happen on the 17th, so then I guess it was legal on the 18th. So right on the 18th, the prices dropped dramatically. And now we're in what appears to be a bear flag. What do you want, Obi? Yeah, a nice bear flag. Hi, how you doing? What do you want? What can I do? How can I help you? Doggy wants something. How you doing, doggy? But this is a bear flag for sure. So I'm expecting more downside for the marijuana industry. And so there aren't really any marijuana stocks that interest me right now. Yeah, they don't really interest me at all. We really need, I don't know where that bottom is, but it's definitely going down. You know, maybe if we look back at where it was prior to all of this, all right, so if we were to use a regression channel, we can probably get an idea. Is a regression channel for the past several months. And you can see that even that was pointing slightly down before it started to take off. Maybe since the beginning of the ETF. So I've got to say that, you know, if you're looking for a good price of the ETF, I would just extend this line here, and we can extend that very easily. This is a regression channel on TradingView. And so all I did was just extend that regression channel. I suppose if we move this into and included this data here, that might give us an idea. Yeah. I mean, you know, I guess if you take into account this move up, but let's see where it was going prior to this. And to me, I'd say the downside, if we measured this flag here, downside probably looks like it should get down to the 24 to 26 area for MJ. And I think that's where you're going to start seeing some value building. Of course, we still have a lot of headway here in the United States with legalization. I think some of those issues may be taken up on local or state ballots. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, most of that stuff should be taken up on state ballots. I'm sure that I know that there are referendum out on a few states for decriminalization and for medical marijuana use. And as we continue to build the stable of states, right now I think there's 34. And as we continue to build the stable of states that are defying the federal law or the federal designation, I think that you'll see a big difference. And as soon as we relax the schedule, the level level 1 scheduling of marijuana and get that off there completely, it's going to be tough to see any real change, at least stateside, from a business point of view and from a value building point of view. There will be some change because as the states add more and more onto it, it becomes then the de facto standard. But the key is that while it is still under federal scrutiny, there's going to be very little participation in banks because they are, for the most part, backed by the Fed. And so that's one of the reasons why you're just not going to see anybody taking any chances. You know, who wants to get involved in a business in a major way when you can't transport it across lines, state lines, and you can't bank your profits. So That's going to take a little while, I think. I am hopeful that within the next 2 years, before the Trump term is over, that he will be relaxing the roads or relaxing the grip to allow us, from a federal point of view, to go towards medical use. Ultimately, my feeling is that, man, they should just let it go. It's been a hoax the whole time. Just let it go. It's a weed. It grows everywhere. Anybody can grow it. Big Pharma is not going to make any money off of it because it is just too cheap. What is going on here, buddy? What is going on? Huh? What is going on? Why are you here? You a good boy? Are you a good boy? Yes, I know. Yes, yes, you are. Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. So I am not. Okay, so that was a long-winded answer and long-winded way to say that I am not buying any pot stocks right now. There's no real value there yet. I think that, again, when MJ gets down to about 24, I think 24, 26, I think then it becomes a good value. I'm in all pot stocks under $10 and Canopy and Aurora. Still holding any thoughts on how you will how they will drop? Oh, I think that there's going to be continued selling until people have realized all their profits, or some number of people realize their profits. So, and just from, like I said, just looking at the overall trend, it looks like that's where pot stocks were heading anyways. They have been overhyped, and that's just a fact. The value, you look at all the valuations, you look at the revenue or earnings per share of any of these companies, and they are super overvalued. And and that's not always the best way to judge a market, because really what it comes down to is sentiment. But right now, until the elections, and if you can wait for a couple weeks, 10 days, I don't think that you're going to see much happen. Ernie, what very basic books do you recommend for someone just starting out on trading? I would like to take your course, but want to understand basic terms and concepts prior to jumping in. I would say that the best way to learn about trading and the basic concepts, buy, sell, stocks, futures, options, order types, buy, sell, limit order, market order, stop limit, that sort of thing. Trading accounts, all of that. That kind of information you're not going to get from books. Most books are tired there. But there are a lot of great YouTube videos and websites that will tell you everything that you need to know. So that's where I would start. But that's not where I would learn how to trade. Where I would learn how to trade, first of all, you have to develop a philosophy. And that philosophy is something that's rooted in the way the real world works. Now, everyone has, it would seem, a different version of the way the world works. But there are some people who have, from a philosophical and scientific viewpoint, have come up with what I think are great visions of the way the world and the way the financial markets work from a mathematical and a philosophical point of view. And there is one particular fellow who happens to be an academic mathematician and a philosopher and a great writer, and has put this philosophy into practice and made fuck you money, and that's Nassim Taleb. And his books are widely read. They are allegories that basically outline the overall philosophy on the way markets work and the way everything works. So you start with things like, you can either start with Fooled by Randomness, which is a pretty good book to start with because it gives you an overview of how to take statistical probabilities with the in the right frame of mind, and then move on to the black swan. And that's kind of a bigger theory of the way markets and civilizations advance or decline. And then I would look at something like Anti-Fragile. These are all his books. Fooled by Randomness, Black Swan, Anti-Fragile. This is a very cogent explanation, or actually it's an allegory, a series of allegories that describe what type of systems actually have the best chance of moving forward. And they're systems that have this sort of convexity principle from an academic mathematician's point of view, but also from an organic point of view, homesis. Yeah, so anyways, that appears to be the doctor's office calling for some reason. Bad timing. So this philosophical idea of, well, it's actually a scientific idea, it is like the basis behind how one would approach markets. And with the real understanding that markets are volatile. Volatility isn't something to run away from, but in fact, there is a certain amount of stress that will actually benefit you and the markets that will allow them to move forward. And if you can adjust or create systems or strategies that have this kind of anti-fragile property, they're going to be more long-lived and have a greater chance of profit. And then his last book is called Skin in the Game. And I mean, I think the name says it all, but I mean, it's saying that really you cannot advance unless you have real skin in the game. There's no way to accumulate the experiences and the ideas without actual participation. Just reading about stuff doesn't help. And there's a lot of ways that you can get skin in the game without putting yourself at undue risk. All right, can you place them in the notes? I'll just say them again. I've said them over and over again. Just go to Nassim Taleb, to Amazon, and look up Nassim Taleb. Buy his 4 most popular books. Simple. Or just look up The Black Swan on Google it, and when you see that book, you'll find the author, and follow him to Amazon or wherever you want to buy it. Should you sell if you own some? They're talking about cannabis stocks. You know, I can't give you any individual advice. I'm just telling you, I don't own anything, and I'm not willing to buy right now. I want to buy at a lower level with greater value. It's very difficult for me to look at a particular position or anything like that and then make any kind of judgment. Can you talk about and explain the indicator you are using on the bottom of the pot ETF chart? What was I using? Oh, the TTM squeeze. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. All right, so you'll see down below here, there's this oscillator that is called the TTM squeeze. And it's actually two indicators in one. although you don't see the other part of it very well because it's not being shown very well. But in any event, the TTM squeeze is essentially something that employs the Bollinger-Keltner squeeze. That's an interference of when the Bollinger and Keltner bands converge, and they indicate an area of low volatility. And so the TTM squeeze indicator will identify when that situation occurs. The oscillator, and let me just show it to you. All right, I think we can make this bigger. All right, so the oscillator that you see here is actually a linear regression slope, or it's measuring the slope of a linear regression line, and that it's kind of like a momentum indicator. And now we're not showing any squeeze here. Let me see if I can turn the squeeze on. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to see any of this. Yeah, it's not really showing the squeeze. Maybe it doesn't work with, I don't know. But this particular indicator is not showing the squeeze. But anyways, this is the linear regression slope, kind of a momentum indicator. A lot of times there's dots or other colors that would offset right in here, but and I would assume that that's what this plot is here. Price line. Let's see what that does. Yeah, but it's not showing it. But anyways, it shows when there is a squeeze or when the Bollinger Bands and the Keltner interfere with one another. And it's basically a volatility indicator indicating a breakout from low volatility to high. And that's about it. What are your thoughts on the fulcrum pattern that some of the BTC is in, which is said to be bullish? I have never heard of the pattern. I've heard people mention it, but I have no idea what it is. Let me see if I can find what the fulcrum pattern is. Yeah, I mean, I see fulcrum point. I mean, we all know what a fulcrum point is. Atlas used a fulcrum to leverage and lift the world. Peter Brandt has something. A compound fulcrum is a bottom pattern about 80% of the time. So a lot of people mention Peter Brandt. I don't particularly like to follow anybody. But I obviously have little knowledge of this, so me looking at it right now isn't going to do you any justice. I'm sure that, you know, if someone has done some serious work on the fulcrum, they probably also have developed a strategy around that and have some statistical information. If they don't have that, then I would say that it's bullshit. How's that? What are your thoughts on the fulcrum pattern? Okay, I just covered that. Stable estates better hurry or they will be late, referring to the states that are legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana. Love the dog. Me too. No real value on pot stocks. People have made fortunes already from pots. Sure, they have made it already. All right, but now it's in decline, so they're not making fortunes right now. That doesn't mean that there will not be fortunes to be made in the future, and I do think that there will be. I'm just saying that right now is not a great time because a lot of the the rumor mill has exhausted itself. And now that we have, and really we only have one or two countries that have any serious action on pot companies. So there's not a lot to be excited about yet. I think in the future there's a tremendous amount. It's one of the reasons why I'm going to be following it, but not right now. Right now is the time to wait for a bottom and buy it. And I'm glad all eyes you made a fortune on this. It's great. Where were you when you made that fortune? You didn't call me. Yeah, he's talking about value investing, not hype markets. That's true. I rode that overhyped wave. Undoubtedly, yes, they are and have been, but lots of money has already been made with it. True. But I don't think that you've seen anything yet. When the United States does a decriminalized approach from the federal level, that's when you're going to see the real big money, the serious money coming in. Tacos, Guidos, Menineros. Ernie, what does the VWAP still work? I don't know why it would stop working if it ever did work. That's the volume weighted average. A lot of people have made a living off of the VWAP or trading it. It's not a very prescriptive methodology. It's like most things, very discretionary. I mean, I've had a hard time trying to create any kind of system off of it. It's very difficult. So complex rules. I found a copy of The Black Swan yesterday. Thanks. You're welcome. What is your AI loss percent? I'd say that of the trades that get triggered, about 15 to 20% losers, right around there. True Contrarian, Tilray, TLRY, that's another pot stock. Looks like it has a way to go to bottom out. Volume has dropped off considerably. Will be interesting to follow it in the coming months. Techno Man, greetings from Turkey. How you doing? I think I may have some family from Turkey, but they're actually Greeks. Most of my family is from Sparta. All right, so now the markets are climbing back up. Yeah, there's a lot of whipsaw here today. And now they're doing analysis on how all of this bombing stuff might be affecting the midterms. That's going to be very interesting. I think the midterms are going to be severely manipulated right up to the election. So we're at October 26th. We have 5 more days here, and then 6 more days till the election, 11 more days. I mean, just think about what we've had so far, you know, between the caravan or the invasion of immigrants, which, by the way, they will never reach the U.S. border in time for the election. That's just not, it's physically impossible unless they all hop on trucks and get up here that way. We've had the bomber. Now I suspect that we'll have more things. You know, I think so. We've had immigrants, violence. I don't know. Sex will be the next thing, maybe. Yeah, some form of sex thing. Something will come out. Let's see. What did we have for trades today? We had both futures and equity trades today, or setups, I should say. We have a sell on the Aussie dollar. If it reaches a level of about 71.15 cents, we have a sell on that. And then we have a buy on gold. Where's gold at? I'm not going to give away all of these, but let's see if gold has reached its buy level. Nope, not yet. Gold has to drop a bit more, and then we have a buy on that. Let's look at equities, and this I will actually share with you. Because I'm into sharing. These are good until the end of the day if they do set up. Not too much time left in the day. Let's see if we can bring those up. Next week, I'm going to start bringing these out regularly. Hello? Hello? Oh, I thought you said 4 o'clock. Right. Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't taken it to Rachel, but I said I would. Oh, I see. You want me to leave as soon as you get home. I don't know. But I'm recording right now, so I'll have to when you get home, I'll leave. Oh, well, then what do you want me to do? Do you think I should bring it to her? Yeah. All right. I'll see you when you get home. I don't know. Maybe we can call her and say we just couldn't get there. Yeah, yeah. But anyways, I'm actually online right now, so bye. Yeah. So all right. Anyways, we have Bank of America as a buy at 26.20. Let's see, how did that work out? The Bank of America is a buy right now. Let's do that. Let us buy Bank of America. BAC. We're going to buy Bank of America. The 26.20, there was a signal, and we're looking for it to go up to 26.59. Well, actually, we're a little late. That's. Oh well. How about GE? Sell GE at 12.20. Let's see, where's GE? I missed that one. So busy on my other stuff. If it went up to 12.20, did it go up to 12.20 today? No, never made it up there. All right, so looks like the Bank of America was up there. I'll get better at sending these out, but this morning just wasn't a good one. So 26.20 came down, hit our price, and now it's on its way to 26.59. It looks like it will reach there by the end of the day. So we'll see what happens. All right, so there's a 1-for-1 on the equities calls. Now, what about the futures calls? Yeah, we're almost. Yeah, and I already talked about those. Yeah, we're almost there for futures. Okay, there you go. Ernie, do you love what some people call gyros or gyros? No. Well, they're okay, but it's fast food. And I grew up with Greek restaurants, all my family owned restaurants. So yeah, I mean, and no, none of them made gyros. That was all like for fast food pizza shops and things like that. Um, but in one way or another, I had lamb just about every Sunday. Is it a buy on the Aussie dollar? No, I think it would be a sell if it reaches a certain level, about 71 cents and change. I feel like a prowler listening in. True Contrarian says Deutsche Bank looks like it could have a bounce off of its lows, currently at $9.70. That's good to know. We didn't get a signal on Deutsche Bank, but we did get some more equity signals, and really sorry that I didn't get those out this morning. I promised that on Monday morning for the next 3 weeks, I will get equity signals from our artificial intelligence out to you free of charge. If you want to join the service, just go to my website, traderoffutures.com. There's going to be a training class tomorrow for new inductees and anybody else that wants to go that is part of the service. And we talk about futures and options and how the system works and all that stuff. But if you want a monthly subscription, it's really very cheap, $99 a month, plus the training class. And, 80% win rate, 25% return on capital is our target for our AI. And those are the only kind of setups that it really shows us. So, that's what we've kind of configured it to show us. And these are all discovered by the AI using pattern recognition and the training that we've done that essentially creates a unlimited number of possible strategies. And so because of there are this unlimited number of possible strategies that it uses, virtually every call, every setup that the AI uses is in one way or another a completely separate strategy. We've gone back and we've looked at how many of these strategies get repeated, and it's very rare that a strategy gets repeated. There's always some slight variation or whatever, some pattern that it found that it's matched up over the past 20 or 30 years. And so because of that falls very nicely into this whole anti-fragile type of scenario. And this other trading philosophy that I espouse quite a bit, and that is really what most hedge funds follow and most professional traders, and that is multiple non-correlated strategies. And so by having this AI spit out a bunch of uncorrelated strategies, they do have, by having multiple positions on generated by the AI, is more or less like an anti-fragile multi-strategy, non-correlated strategy system. And that's exactly what it is. And that's one of the reasons why it works so well. And one of the reasons why you don't have to fret so much over stops and risk management, because it is in of itself a naturally risk management system, and it has a time stop as well, and you can add catastrophic stops to it. A lot of people ask me about that. A lot of people still aren't comfortable with this whole idea of having a catastrophic stop, but not having a singular stop for every single position. But that's the way it is. Tacos asks, Ernie, what is the dumbest thing about charting have you ever heard that you have tested, looked into, studied, and realized it was stupid concept? Name some dumb ideas of TA. Well, one of the things that I've found is that most patterns there are a lot of patterns out there, and a lot of people take patterns kind of willy-nilly and don't realize that there are lots of nuances to patterns. And there are contingencies to patterns too. So in other words, they have to be in the right market, the right setup, the right shape, the leaning the right way, the volume has to be correct, a lot of different things. And even then, they don't really know the statistical probability of that particular pattern on that particular asset. They just look at a pattern and say, oh, head and shoulders, or oh, cup and handle, or oh, tweezers, tweezers top, or any of these things. And these kind of universal patterns are really the dumbest thing, because most of these universal patterns that people recognize are not very high probability. And the probability goes down even further if you don't understand the specific context. And so that is probably the most egregious thing done in technical analysis, is that it is kind of it's not even a science, it's kind of an empty art form. You're given just the outer crust without really seeing any of the meaty stuff that would actually put it in context and then work for you. And that's really the problem with technical analysis. There's no way to create a prescriptive technical system and then give it to somebody and say, oh, you're going to make money if you follow this. Hi, Ernie. It would be nice to have the expiration date of each signal on the email so we know which ones are still good. Well, you know when the signal came out. The signal setup is only good for that day, right? And so in other words, if it does not hit the setup and it's not triggered in the setup, then it goes away if it doesn't happen within that day. If it is triggered, then we give it up to 4 additional sessions to work its way out. If it doesn't by that time, then we cut the cord. Of course, like I said, you can put an additional stop in there that might catch a catastrophic loss. But yeah, those are the rules, and so there's really no need to put any other thing. I mean, we do put up right in the title of the alert itself, when that setup happened and when it's good until. It's good until, a certain time that day or a certain time the next day. So depending on whether it's equities or futures. With equities, we always say it for that day. For futures, we always say it for the following day. Futures at 5 p.m. the following day, equities 4 p.m. for that day. So that should be pretty clear. And then that's it. After that day, that signal is no longer good. Dex for sure. Pretty nasty sell-off in the NASDAQ, but can't complain. This drop has already created great buying opportunities. Yeah. Yep. Well, there's a pretty nasty sell-off across the board. I think there's a good chance that it might start moving up. All right, so a follow-up to that question. Okay, I was wondering because you mentioned the gold trade that didn't trigger for me. Yeah, it didn't trigger for me either. But the Bank of America trade did trigger. The thing is, if you get in late in these trades, then we don't really have any kind of statistical basis for it. And that's why I saw, hey, I'm late to the trade. It's already moved up through half of its profit. There's no sense in taking it. It triggered earlier today. The gold trade has not triggered yet. The Aussie dollar came very, very close to triggering. And one could argue that probably close enough to take a position. So, I would say that there's probably a good case that can be made because, like I said, our system isn't about levels. It's about degrees of probability. That's how we figure out both the setup and the target. So they're not like specific levels that we say that once it crosses this, that's it. I mean, we use that as kind of our bailiwick. That's our standard. But if something moves up very sharply up to a level that we say that we're going to sell from and comes within just a couple of ticks of that, for all intents and purposes, that has hit the target. Sometimes it will come right up to it and not hit it. Sometimes it will go through it a bit and then come down. So we don't really know. Everything is done based on statistical probability. So there's a judgment that you can make. I have no idea what you're saying, Polaris Dream. Don't know what language that is. Maybe it's German. I don't know. Can we find out? Oh, how are you doing? It's Norwegian. I am doing fine. Let's see. Let me put. I am doing very well. English, and then we want Norwegian. What is Norwegian? There it is, Norwegian. So we'll put that. Yeah, I saw that it's Norwegian. I detected it. There's my answer. I don't even know if that's the proper way to say it, but I just put in the English, I'm doing very well, and that's what it popped out. Sometimes you can impress people. Do you query the AI for pot stocks? Not yet. There hasn't been enough years that they have existed. All right, and try to say, hey, Dura, cool. I have no idea if I'm saying that correct, but I'm sure it's wrong. Yeah. So, yeah, we can't put pot stocks in there because there's not enough data. All the stuff that we're looking at has a great deal of statistical information, So if it has 20 years of data, that's best. 30 years is better. 10 years is really minimal for us. And it's one of the reasons why we're not doing Bitcoin. What is this stream about? This stream is mostly about the markets, general going-ons, our Discord, our general talk. I mean, we talk about futures, equities, options, and stocks, that sort of thing. So that's what this stream is about. We're talking about the market, how to trade it, strategies, philosophy, all of that stuff. So, and, it's a lot about my particular take on it too. So, and more importantly, it is about listening to what people have to say on the chat and then bringing those questions to the forefront. All right. Well, anyways, that's about all the time I have for now. The wife is going to be home in a few minutes. We have to make a decision. Do I bring something over to my daughter or not, or do we just go walk the dogs? And that's all I got to say about that. And I hope you have a great weekend. Tomorrow is a training class for those people that are subscribers. And Sunday, there will be new futures calls coming out when the market opens. Thank you very much, muchly much, and we'll see you next time.